it's quite difficult to take martial arts photos because I've some of my clients that I go to regularly, they've mentioned that a lot of them have had someone take photos, but it just weren't good, because even sports photographers struggle. Martial arts is so specific and so like intricate that you really have to understand the arts, the movement. You got to be a mover yourself. You got to be a martial artist, I think, almost yourself.
Thank you for tuning into the show, whether you are watching this on martialartsmedia.com or on YouTube, or listening while on the move on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. This is the Martial Arts Media Business Podcast. My name is George Fourie, and on this show we interview top martial arts school owners, share success stories, share martial arts stories from great martial arts experts, and then we talk about lead generation and marketing strategies in between. So a quick heads up before we jump into the show. I just wanted to make sure that you are already part of our Martial Arts Media business community. It is our free Facebook group where we hang out every day. We talk about lead generation, marketing, and all things martial arts. You can jump in by either clicking a link close to this video or go to martialartsmedia.group. So not martialartsmedia.com, just martialartsmedia.group. That'll take you there. That's the best place for you to go after the show. We are in there every day, and there's a bunch of free resources that we have already uploaded into the group. Things about how to attract the right students, how to increase your sign-up base, how to retain more members, etc. So jump into the show. I will catch you in the group once the show is done. Enjoy. I'll speak to you soon. Good day, everyone. George here from martialartsmedia.com, and welcome to the Martial Arts Media Business Podcast. So, awesome guest with me today, Francine Schaepper. How are you, Francine?
Good. How are you?
Very good. I'm going to give a brief about Francine, but she'll fill in all the gaps. So, Francine is from Switzerland.
Correct.
And is a professional martial arts photographer. So, Francine's taken 15,000 plus martial arts photos, and when you look at the photos that Francine takes, you kind of can't help but do a little gut check and think, well, my photos aren't that great. So we're going to chat a bit about photos, why they're important, and especially for you as a martial artist, why do you need professional photos? And we'll get into that. But first, welcome to the call, Francine.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, my kitten's distracting me. She's trying to climb up on me. So, some of you know me. I'm Swiss. I've been here for a while. I am, in the first place, I'm a professional photographer. And the martial arts kind of snuck its way into it. And I'll probably talk about that a little bit. So, that's what I do for work. And, that's quick overview, really. That's
super quick. But well, then go into the, how did the martial arts part fall into place?
Okay, well, look, when I started photography, I think I started photography about 10 years ago. So I've got a corporate background, business marketing background. I've always had cameras. I've always loved it. But then at some point I decided, okay, I'll just make this my business. God knows why, but I've done it. And well, it actually started at uni when I was studying photography, and we had to put together our final folio, and we had to find photos that we wanted to kind of copy to showcase that we could do it. And obviously as a martial artist, I thought, I want my front page to be a really cool martial arts shot. So I started Googling and looking around and just and it was really hard finding any decent martial arts photo. I'm not talking about somebody standing there with a gi, or I was looking for something more commercial looking, something like, if you think of like a Nike or Adidas campaign, something of that kind of matter. Something really dynamic with a lot of elements that would make it look good. And I almost gave up, and I just found this one guy in the States who does amazing commercial photography, and he did tests with a very quick, a very fast camera and super fast. And they chose martial arts because it's very dynamic, and they took a series of really cool shots. And that was literally the only 4 shots I could find. And I Googled for weeks. I found personally were representing martial arts the way I thought it should be represented. And that kind of got me into this whole thinking of well, why does nobody take photos of martial arts the way I think they should take them? So then I kind of went down that avenue and started taking photos for the Kung Fu school that I was training and teaching at, and kind of got into it that way. So that was kind of why. So now that's kind of like a niche standing on its own because it's a very specific market.
Yeah, awesome. So, and I think still today, it's hard. I mean, I've been chatting to you a lot over the last few weeks, and so I've seen the caliber of photos that you take. But every week I do presentations for our partners group. Typically, there's a few stock photo websites that I use. I mean, I've always got this thing about stock photos, but for presentations, you can find super good photos. And that's good to paint a picture of concepts and metaphors. But the minute I try and search the martial arts space, the photos suck. They really do. Like, it's very rare that you find a martial arts photo that looks naturally good. So you either they look just bad, or they look over plastic that you wouldn't actually want to use them. What is that gap? Like, what is missing in taking a great photo of martial arts?
Well, I'm not quite sure what's missing. Like, because I think it's in terms as a photographer, because you got to look at two things. You got to look at why are not more professional photographers taking photos of martial arts, but then, I mean, for a photographer to go and take photos for a client, the client needs to want the photos taken. So it's also a lack of want from that industry or from our industry. I think that people are just not giving it the weight they should. As I'm talking about martial arts schools owners, I think the headspace is not there to go like, oh, we need to get a professional photographer in to get photos taken because we need to look good on the internet, on socials, on print, for flyers. I'm not quite sure why that is. I'm still trying to find that out. And I think it's gotten a little bit better. So you've got your occasional, person who runs a school who goes like, yeah, we see the value, but it's very rare. And there should be a lot more doing that. So in turn, there we go. She wants to be part of it. She's a real ninja. But in terms of like professional photos, so that's one. If you don't have people asking for it, obviously nobody's going to deliver the service. But I also think that it's quite difficult to take martial arts photos because I've some of my clients that I go to regularly, they've mentioned that a lot of them have had someone take photos, but it just weren't good because even sports photographers struggle. Martial arts is so specific and so like intricate that you really have to understand the arts, the movement. You got to be a mover yourself. You got to be a martial artist, I think, almost yourself. But that's in terms of professional photography. Like, it's hard to find people that can actually shoot it. Like, I've done it for a long time now. I'm pretty good at it. And then you've got the other problem of why don't martial arts academies do it themselves? You don't always have to hire a professional. You don't always have to get me in. I mean, there's only one of me. And if you look at like industries like, I'm going to say it again, Pilates, yoga, CrossFit, all of these, they don't always get professionals in, but they take really great photos themselves. I mean, they've got that and they know how to use it. They're just a lot more creative. They're thinking about it. And if you look at their Instagram profile, it just looks really, really great. So I think, there's two things. It's one of there's not a lot of professional photos out there or a lot of people doing it, but also the actual industry itself, people are not making an effort to look better, I guess. And I'm not quite sure why, because I know everybody's super proud of their martial art. Everybody's like walking like, oh, my martial art's the best, or this is cool, or I love my club. I put so much time in, and then I can't find any decent photos. So for me, there's a bit of a gap there, which I'm trying to.
Well, now that we talk about this, I talk about this when running ads a lot. When you run ads, you've got a few photos of your favorite kids or something, and so you've got your favorites, and so in your gut, you really want that photo to be the winning ad, but it's not, right? Because the results say different. So there's an emotional attachment. Now, do you feel that maybe the problem here is that as a martial artist, you're so emotionally attached to your art that when there's a photo of that taken, you might see a completely different perception of the photo than somebody else does as a first timer, because you look at the photo and you know the effort and the technique that went behind that moment. But for somebody scrolling by, they just look at it and like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I think so. There's a little bit of arrogance, I think. Not wanting to sound bad, like I'm a martial
arrogance in martial arts.
Oh, no.
What do you mean?
No, but I mean, it's not in a bad way, but it's good. It's healthy to have a certain arrogance and like, oh, and like you said, I mean, we all know how long. I've been doing martial arts for 20 years, by the way, so I'm not bagging the industry. I know what I'm talking about. we know how long it takes to get like to do a flying sidekick or anything. And yes, you catch it, you go like, oh, it's amazing. And it's exactly what you were saying, that I think the arrogance is like, oh, I'm teaching this amazing martial art. People will come without me having to actually, make an effort or put something out, which is one problem. But yes, it is the emotional attachment. I think it's also a little bit of arrogance. I guess I wanted to say a little bit of laziness, but I think it's almost that it's not just a laziness. I think the whole visual representation of martial art is just a blind spot. They don't think about it, and you might have been able to get away with it. Because we've got like Blitz magazine, which I love the magazine. The content's great, but not wanting to bag them, but they've looked the same since I don't know when. Like, I've got so many issues and they all look the same. So as a martial artist, it resonates with us because, yeah, we can see the technique. It looks cool, awesome. But like you say, if you're talking to a prospect, like a prospect or somebody who's never done martial arts, to them, they don't have, like you said, the emotional attachment. They don't understand the technique. They don't know how long it takes to get into that. So they need to see something that's more enticing, which, we have amazing weapons that look really cool. We've got really cool uniforms. You've got so many details that you could showcase in your academy where people go, wow, this is awesome. And I also think it's a bit of a fear factor, because people at martial arts, taking up martial arts is not like taking up yoga or Pilates, right? It's got this like looming, like, oh my God, am I going to, beat people up? Am I going to get punched? What's this? Like, it's like this closed group of like, what we're doing, people are, it's like a bit of, what do you want to, I don't know how to call that. It's like almost like that mystical type of, martial arts, right? Oh, you're a martial artist. Oh, I need to be careful. You're going to beat me up. We all get that a lot, right? Yeah. So people don't really know about martial arts. The only thing that I think showcases martial arts really well is film. If you look at Marvel, like Black Panther, that I'm going to use that as an example because they're using Silat, which is a style that my partner teaches. And that's a great vehicle because you can go, oh, have you seen Black Panther? Well, that's the movements, what he's doing, most of it is Silat, not all of it. Most of it is Silat or Silat based. And they go like, oh, it looks like a Balinese dance sometimes. Yeah, it does. We do that too. And through visuals, you can get people to understand what you're doing. And video is great, but it has to be really well done. But photography is great too. And it's a lot easier and it's a lot quicker. If you know what you're doing. So I really think the issue in our industry, it's a blind spot. It's just people don't take the time to actually think about it because maybe they never had to. But with everything that's happening around us now, we have to, because we're not looking that good. We actually really don't look good. Visually.
Yeah. So what you're talking about there is just having the level of awareness. But let's also face it, right? For the average martial arts school owner, it's not your fault either. You got a lot on your plate, so you're so much focused on what's happening here, but now you've also got to pay attention about, all right, well, let's perfect what's happening on the mats, but then let's make sure that we can get that impression and capture it and display it online. Now there's a few things here, like Francine's mentioning, the mystical thing of martial arts. A lot of people still feel that, right? So you've also got the balance, right, of who the media is going to, because it's either going to look super intimidating or you're going to try and do something good and it's sort of not good. My friend Ken Okazaki always says, if you're going to do video, either have it done professionally or not at all, because trying to do it yourself in between just looks super bad. Yeah. But back on the topic, you've got a lot going on. You've got to take professional photos, and maybe there's not so much weight focused on the importance of this. But quick reminder of the world we live in, right? The number one question that I get asked from school owners is, how do we get more students? Like, how do we attract more students? Well, let's start with media. Now, there's an old saying of, it used to be, you are what Google says you are.
Oh, dear.
Which still is true, but when do people actually go to Google to search you up? Well, when they found you, right? So what was that first impression? For most, running ads and doing marketing on social, it's Facebook, right? So people get the first impression on Facebook, and if they want to, maybe for the percentage that want to verify who you are or find out more about you, they're going to go to Google, pop your name in, and then see what they could find. But not if you didn't make the first impression. So first impression is media. An ad statistic is that an image, the media, image or video, plays has a 70% weighing factor whether a person will pay attention to your copy. Now, written sales copy is super important, but what stops people in their tracks is the visual media. And I just wanted to highlight that, because if you're not placing an importance on this, that's what's going on. And that's why it's important to get this right.
Correct. Yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely. I think people know that. People are trying, the industry is trying, but the problem is that what you said is true. Like, it's true, because we wear all the hats, right? We do everything. We do the sales, we teach, we train staff, we clean, you do everything. There's just a lot to do. But for some reason, photography always ends up like at the back of the list. Like, it's really like at the bottom of the list. And the problem is you can do whatever you want. I mean, you can have the best looking school with I mean, I'm sure you've got students and everything, but if you want to grow, and yes, at some point you have recommendation. If you're at a point where you have a school that you've got great recommendation and that's how you get your people in, you probably don't have to make a big effort, like, because you already get that, you got the students, you get turn, you get people come in. But the problem is that you're still going to miss out on a lot of people who maybe would come in if they saw you online, because you're competing with industries that look really good. And for me, it's just, martial arts is such a great thing, and it would help so many people that I think a lot more people should take it up. But like what you said, like, the photos that are out there are just not doing the job. Like, they're not, like, I'm not, not all of them, but the majority that I see, it wouldn't make me want to go there, because you can't, like what you said, it looks, well, you've got a gym, and for example, you do your boxing or your Muay Thai class or something, let's say like a fitness boxing class, but with pads and stuff, and everybody's wearing helmet gear, whatever, and you've got photos of that. The photos are probably too dark, they don't look good, they're not enticing, and for a mom looking for a school for the kid, they might go like, oh, no, I'm not going to look at this. But then she's not even going to look at, do you have a program for kids or do you have a program for women? It's difficult, because a lot of us have a lot of, like, we've got the same, we've got like a combative thing, and we've got every martial art has that. We've got a combative side, we've got a technique side, and we've got the forms. So there's something in there for everybody. With the photos you put out, especially the ones that are like your banner in Facebook, which is obviously a lot of times the worst. The banner on Facebook, the first thing people see, and your website, you have to figure out something that is general enough, just a really great shot, that then people go and look for more, and then they find out everything else you do. And that's where we fall flat. And yes, sometimes I don't know if those of you who know me probably know my Warrior series that I've done, like these really like, these scenes of martial artists doing something in the forest or at the beach or in the snow. I've done a whole series. And these photos really catch people's attention. And it's funny, because I think I'm going off track a bit, but the funny thing for me is that the feedback I get is mostly from friends and people that never showed interest in martial arts at all. Like, my friends, they're all doing their yoga, the whatever, it was like, yeah, she just goes and beats up people. And now and when they started seeing that series that I did, because I wanted to show a different side, suddenly they're like, oh, so what's this? Oh, that's karate. Oh, so why is that? How's that different from that? Oh, well, they're using weapons. They don't. They have this thing. Okay, that's what they do. And suddenly there was a lot of interest about, oh, so why is this dude wearing that? And what is he doing? And what's this name again? And can you, is that difficult? Could I do this? And there was so much interest. That's from my closer, friends who never ever showed any interest. And suddenly they want to know what's the difference between karate and kung fu. So you got to create imagery. And I know, those kind of photos, you probably can't do them yourself, but you can do better than what I see. You can do a lot better than what I see.
So
yeah,
that is why we have you on this call, right? I know we've emphasized a lot on the problem, but it's so important to really grasp the importance of this, because right now, especially after the time of recording this podcast, there's been some crazy times with pandemic and all the rest. Everybody's online. And with everybody online, competition goes up. So being mediocre is not okay anymore. You need to have good media to stand out from the crowd. So question is, how do we do that? If we're to discuss like the top 3 things, what do we need to know to take better photos at our martial arts schools?
Well, I think the first one is just understanding that you have to spend some time on this. And some of us are still, we can't go anywhere, we can't do anything. So, and there's no excuse anymore to go, I don't have a DSLR or a camera. Everybody has got a camera. And those cameras are really bloody amazing. And then also, you know, there's a very, it's a saying of a photographer who said, it's not the camera. Well, it said it's not the single most important component of a camera is the 12 inches behind it. So that's you. So it's not, you can have the crappiest phone camera or the best DSLR. It is about the device, but it's about you and what you do with it. So nobody has an excuse to not take at least decent photos these days. No one days, especially if you have, like, if it's not your thing. A lot of the martial arts academy owners I know have kids, teenagers, they know how to use their phone. Just get them to take photos. So I think one thing is just to understand that photography should really be a lot higher on your list than it is at the moment. The next one is then to go and just explore it a little bit, figure out, okay, well, I've got all these devices. Maybe you've got 3 phones, you've got a camera, and just go and start looking at things. So the biggest thing for me when I teach photography as well, when I tell people about photography, I teach photography, I tell them, you've got to learn how to see. You've got to completely relearn how you're looking at things, like look at your surroundings. What's the light like? What do you like about your academy, for example? Or what are things that capture you? And then try taking a photo of it. But you've got to retrain yourself to look at the world like a child, like a curious child. And that's the second one that is really important, just to get that kind of headspace a little bit. And then the third one is just take your camera and just start shooting. Just try and fail and go to people that know what they're doing. Ask me, ask someone else, go online. I mean, there's so much online about how can you use your camera, what to do, what not to do. Just start the process. But yeah, put it higher on your list. Then just find a bit of curiosity about how you see the world. And the third one is then just get into your camera and just get to know it better, because you have all the tools. There's no excuse to take shit shots, in my opinion. There really isn't. If you can't take them, give them to your daughter, your friend, or whoever, or your student or a team member. Get them to take the photos. But there really isn't an excuse, and you can really close the gap. I mean, I'm probably up here, obviously, with what I'm doing, but you can get closer to that with not that much, a little bit of effort, but it's totally doable. Like, there's no excuse, really.
Okay, so let's make it more practical, right? You as a school owner, you're standing in the middle of your dojo, on the mats or whatever. What are the things I should be looking for to change the environment to be able to take better photos? Lighting, environment, and so forth.
Yeah, the first thing is knowing what you're dealing with. So photography means painting with light. So you got to look at your lighting situation. Best thing is natural light. What kind of light have you got? Do you have colored walls that might reflect and make my skin look green? And I'm sitting here because I know that the light is good. I'm actually facing a window because I know the light's great. If I turn my camera around this way, that's not good. So that's a crap shot. That's a more flattering shot. So just things like that, where you just kind of walk around and just figure out, okay, what looks good. That's the big first step. Yeah, and just also looking at, does your dojo look as good as you think it does? Is it maybe a little bit messy? Could you put the bins out of the way so they're not in every photo? Which way does your class face? Like, are they actually facing the light when you're taking photos? And I keep telling martial arts academies, and I think we've been talking about that a lot. It's just, don't just go, I've got 5 minutes, I'll take my phone, take a quick snapshot, walk off, and then in the end you just got a very average, I don't know what, I took a photo of shot. Do like every Saturday morning, it's photography. Like, everybody knows Saturday morning we're taking photos because there's natural light, everybody comes in, they're pumped, I get the feedback a lot that as soon as I turn up with my camera, suddenly all the horse stances are as low as they've ever been. So make it an event, involve your students, turn the class around for once and make them face the light so you get better photos, and then turn them back around for the rest of the class. So there's a lot of really small things that you can do that will get you from here to here very, very quickly. Like, it's not rocket science. You just have to, somebody has to tell you, I guess, and then you got to just think about it. Yeah.
That's it, right? And learning from you the last couple of weeks, I've kind of noticed that it's not rocket science. It's just I don't know it. And when I know it, the next time I take a photo, I'm just going to go in with that level of awareness because I just needed to know. Good point you mentioned there. Is social media painful on a day-to-day basis? Well, schedule in your photo day, right? Because if you've got one photo day, I think everybody's going to maybe just,
the hair.
take the clean gi versus the old one, the dirty one.
Right.
People will maybe just be a bit more attentive to themselves, their for them, and people want to be proud as well, obviously, of the photo, of being on good photos.
And
Then you were saying face, so make sure the light is behind you, right? Or
yeah, so when you're taking the photos, so it's the Miyamoto Musashi, you always fight with the sun in your back. Yeah, so when you are taking photo, obviously it's different for me now because I want the light to fade because because it's the other way around. So you want to have the biggest light source, which usually is your windows if you have them. If you have light that comes in on this from this level, yes, you want that to be behind you, because then if people face you, which they probably should, you're going to have nice lit faces. If you turn it around, they're going to be dark. It can work, but that's a lot more. That's once you know the rules, break the rules. First of all, just keep to that. So that's a big one already. And then it's also, don't just, you're a martial artist, and I hate it when I see people go like, oh, click. I'm on my tummy a lot. Like I'm literally laying on the floor taking photos facing up. I climb onto desks and chairs and things like that just to get another shot. And you got to move, and stop taking photos from the sidelines. Like you don't stand on the side of the mat to take a photo of your class. I mean, you're part of the class. For those of who know me, I'm right in there. Like when I'm taking photos, I don't know anyone. I'm just, okay, I'm here, and I'm just literally next to people. They're doing whatever they're doing. I try not to get hit. At least I know what I'm doing, so it's good. And then I just circulate and I just take photos within the action. So don't be afraid to go in and just give it a go and try. And if people know you, it's easier because then you're going to get reactions. You're going to get a smile. You can call them by their names. They look at you, especially kids. You go like, Johnny did that again, and they do it again, and they get all excited. And you involve people. So it's a really good retention tool as well. If you involve your students and you say, hey, you're going to be the face of the academy, we have a photo day, and you just create a bit of a hype, which especially the parents love it. Like they love it. So there's a lot you can do. There's so much you can do. Yeah.
right. So angles, don't be boring. Don't just flick it. Make sure your finger's actually not on the camera as well, on in front of the lens. Get down, take it up. What would be the benefit of taking a photo up versus down, for example?
The benefit is also if you've got a really messy area, and so sometimes you might feel like, okay, the kids let's look kids, for example. The kids are looking this way. I'm obviously taller than the kids, but now I've got the perfect light on their face, but now I've got the reception area with all the parents and all the crap and everything in the background, which I don't really want. So if I'm taking a photo standing up, I'm going to have everything in there and the kids will be part of it. If I'm just laying down and I'm lower than the kids, I'm going to lose the whole background, because the kids are then taller than me. And also with the kids, it gives them like a little bit of like that kind of superhero look, that kind of like looking down type of thing. And it looks really cute. It actually works really, really well. Another example of going up with an angle, I took a photo of my sensei in Zurich, and I think he just turned 65, and he just wanted to get some good photos. I happened to be there, so we did a shoot with his students, and he's like, oh, but I want a shot of myself. And he had a hip replacement, so my kicks are not that good anymore. No, not a problem. So I just went down, I did the angle shooting up. He did a pretty decent kick, I have to say, a roundhouse kick, but it just looked higher because of the angle, because it enhances and it makes it just look a little bit more dynamic. Shooting down, if you have, especially women, we don't want to have a double chin, so never do that, like the arm. Look, so you want to be aware of that, because you want them to look flatter and you want them to look good. And it also kind of looks cool if you're shooting down, if people look up, if you have downlights, because a lot of academies have those downlights that cast a lot of shadows. So if you're higher and you call them, they look up, at least their faces are nicely lit and you can actually see people. Because a big problem I see when I look at martial arts Facebook pages is that the photos are often quite dark and you can't really see people's faces. And if I'm looking to train somewhere, I kind of want to get a feel of who's training there, who could be my training buddies. So it's important to show people and show friendly faces, focused faces, things like that. But you need them to be lit. So, yeah.
Perfect. And then one last question, I think, just for this as a good tip. What about mirrors? How do you work with mirrors in your school?
Well, mirrors are usually good because they reflect light. You always want to think the brighter the colors, the more reflection you get, which is good because you want as much light as you can possibly get. Like if it's better too bright than too dark. So mirrors are very good. They can be tricky in terms of taking photos because, you're photographing what's mirrored. So we have the problem in our academy that the mirrors reflect the entrance, which is great for us when we're teaching because then we can see who's coming in while looking in the mirror. But in photos, it looks super messy. So you just have to use a bit of an angle. What I often do is I just kind of go into an angle and have the mirror on a diagonal going in. So you've got the class here, and then you can see the reflection of the class in the mirrors. And you can catch really cool expressions like that too, just shooting through the mirror. And you get repetition of movement, and it makes the class look bigger too. So with mirrors, it's just about being aware that you've got the mirror there and using it to your advantage rather than having it annoy you, because you also want to make sure you're not in the shot. Like, you don't want to be standing there with your camera. So once again, if you go really low, usually you can see people's feet and you can shoot up, and it gives you really cool angles, to just more creative angles, really. That's what we're after. You want to just show the whole 360 degrees of what we're doing, and not just class shot, class shot, class shot, class shot, which is pretty much most of what I see.
Super. That's gold. So to add a few resources to this podcast, first up, I'm going to include some of Francine's photos on this page, so within the transcript, which you'll be able to download. Also, while we've been talking, Francine has been hosting, well, I've been co-hosting with Francine, the Martial Arts Smartphone Photography Masterclass. So all the stuff that we are talking about, we're doing a 6-week program where we're sort of breaking down how to get your artistic eye, even if you don't have a creative bone in your body, but how to like really pay attention to this awareness, the things that you've got to look at, the tech, which is really minimal, what you got to do, because you don't need to have a super smart camera. And we're really teaching you how to take epic photos without having to call Francine up once a week to fly over or whatever to visit your school. If you'd like to know more, there'll be a link below where you can access. But the first thing that I want to actually include is a part of our of week 1. And this is for you to really take a look at your page. So if you had to go look at your the easiest thing to do, click on your Facebook page, click on photos, and I'm going to include a PDF. It's called the Existing Photo Assessment. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things that you can assess to look and pinpoint like what it is that you need to improve. Right, so 10 simple questions, just little checklist, yes, no, maybe, and it will give you a good idea of what it is that you need to do to lift your game. That's that. Anything to add on that, Francine?
Well, yeah, I think the assessment is really good, including that, because it always starts with looking at what you have. And then that's already, your awareness is already going to go up, because essentially in the course that we've been putting together, those 6 weeks, essentially I'm actually going through everything that we learn in photography uni. Like, I'm literally really actually teaching you to be a professional photographer, but I'm taking snippets out that make it very relevant to your school, and also that you can do with your phone. So what we know, it's not camera, it's just about you thinking differently. And I love teaching this, because I can see, like with the people I do one-on-one, I can see light bulbs go up. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know my phone does that. Oh my God, even if I just shift from here to there, gee, that makes a huge difference. So those little oh my God moments, you should have plenty of those. And even just doing that assessment sheet, that should already make you go like, oh yeah, okay, my academy is a bit dark. Maybe that's why my photos are dark. Realizing the problem is one thing, and then you can start slowly, building towards fixing it. It's really not that hard at all. Like, there's no excuse not to get better photos. It really isn't.
Totally. And I mean, what I'm getting from it is, you don't have to, I mean, the goal is not for me, and probably not for, most people listening, is to become a professional photographer. But hey, maybe you do have a student or an instructor that really wants to uplift their game, that you can train. We do that within the program as well. But it's getting the practical knowledge that's just going to uplift your game. And remember, the end goal here is, hey, you're in the business. If you want to grow the school, which I know most people that are listening to this podcast do, then this is a big part of doing that. And there's 2 ways to do that, is to hire a professional photographer on a week-to-week basis, or once a month, or something like that. Francine says that's money, but I'll share your contact details in a minute. And if that's something that you want, by all means, that's the path you should go. But if it's something that you just want to, one of those skill sets that you just want to master and have it in-house, and know that, when you've got classes running and your instructor grabs a camera, that you're getting the best visuals taken at the moment. There's nothing more than instant now, good photos taken in the moment, shared today. Your students see it. They're actually proud when you tag them. They're not embarrassed because their face was all skew or they look weird. They actually feel good about you tagging them, and they share it. And there's half your marketing done for the day. Just wanted to add to that. So if you do want to instead say, hey Francine, come and visit our school, how should people do that?
Well, it's easiest to contact me either on Facebook. I've got the Martial Arts Photography International Facebook page, or you can just Google Martial Arts Photography Australia. I'm the first one up. I'm the pink logo, the Chinese stamp. You really can't miss me. Send an email, call me. My phone number's out there. And what I meant with this is, like, I'm happy to go everywhere every week, but the problem is there's one of me and I can't be everywhere, and it's going to start costing you a lot. What George is saying, it's a tool, like we're giving you a tool to really be able to jump in when the action's there, when I can't be there, and actually really take photos are much better. So I think it's exciting. Like I want to help the industry look better. That's kind of what I'm doing. Yeah. And if you just want to contact me to ask questions and you've got problems, just contact me and we'll have a chat. Always happy to talk and help. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll put the link out. Just go to martialartsmedia.com/photography-masterclass. So martialartsmedia.com/photography-masterclass, and there'll be details there. And if you go to martialartsmedia.com/blog, just look for this podcast episode and you'll be able to download the existing photo assessment right there. Francine, thanks so much for hanging out today. It's been awesome.
No problem. Come a little.
Good day, kitty cat. Francine, thanks so much. I'll speak to you soon.
Cool. Talk to you soon.
Thanks again for tuning in. Was it helpful? Did you get something of good value for your martial arts business? Then please do me a favor and let us know. Leave us a comment wherever you watched or listened to this, or just head over to iTunes and just leave us an awesome review. That way we'll know that we are on the right track, and we'll keep bringing you great shows with great interviews, sharing great strategies and tips. So if you haven't yet, now's a good time to head over to our group, martialartsmedia.group. That's the Martial Arts Media Business Community. I'll see you in the group, and I will see you on the next show.